Hey, welcome to the spotlight for University of Alaska Fairbanks. Um, my name is Palmer Muntz, and I am a regional admissions counselor for UAF. I'm actually based in Washington State, and I work primarily with students from Oregon and Washington. University of Alaska Fairbanks is located in, as you might guess, Fairbanks, Alaska, which is a small city about 200 miles from the Arctic Circle. So we do call ourselves America's Arctic University. Fairbanks has about 35,000 people. So I sometimes joke that we are the second largest city in all of Alaska. There's about 100,000 people in the surrounding area, and Fairbanks is a hub for the rest of that central part of the state of Alaska. So it's got pretty much everything you would need on a day-to-day basis. I would mention that about half of our students are first generation, and about a third of our students are Pell eligible. So let me tell you a little bit about UAF. I always explain that University of Alaska Fairbanks is Alaska's flagship university. So from the perspective of, for instance, here in the Northwest, University of Oregon is often thought of as the flagship university for Oregon, University of Washington for the state of Washington, and so on. We're also a national research university. But I think we look quite a bit different from most schools that have those labels of flagship university or national research university. So I wanted to highlight a few of those things for you. For one thing, we're quite a bit smaller than most schools that are flagship universities. Our total enrollment is only around 8,000 students, and even that doesn't really tell the whole story. Our student to faculty ratio is just 11:1, and 2/3 of our classes have less than 20 students in them. So we're a great option for students who want to make sure they have access to top-notch labs and equipment and faculty and so on, but maybe don't want to get lost in a crowd, prefer a more intimate kind of environment. Another thing that I think is a little bit unusual about UAF is that it's a very diverse community, but diversity at UAF looks a little bit different than maybe it does some other places. About 37% of our students are students of color, but over a fifth of our students come from Alaskan Native or Native American backgrounds. And the culture and values and perspectives and history of Indigenous peoples really speaks a lot into our campus life and our academic life and influences a lot of who we are. UAF is the 12th most diverse flagship university in the country. Another thing I think, though, is the word welcoming. This is something that I think is fairly unusual for a national research flagship university, and that is, I think, no matter what your background, no matter what your values are, no matter whether you're gay or straight, conservative, liberal, vegan, or you're a hunter or whatever, there's a place for you to fit in at UAF. I don't know if this is an Alaska thing or a UAF thing, but I found that people just don't turn their backs on anyone. And so you're definitely going to find a warm welcome at University of Alaska Fairbanks. Another thing that's a little bit unusual is we have over 100 different areas of study at UAF. That's not unusual. But one thing that's really different with us is you'll find we have the same kinds of academic programs that you might expect to find at almost any school. Business and psychology and social work and so on, some great programs in art and so on. But in addition, in Alaska, there's no community college system. So what that means is we actually have, we call it the Community and Technical College, but we have a community college embedded within UAF. So that means that not only do we offer a PhD in space physics, we also have one-semester programs and one-year certificate programs in things like aviation maintenance and welding. We have a great culinary arts program that you can do in 1 or 2 years. And those are the kinds of things I think you won't typically find in a national research university. I thought I might take a few minutes just to highlight three kind of sample academic programs for you to give you an idea of the breadth and quality of what UAF has to offer. The first one is, let me talk with you about engineering. And we have a number of different areas of specialization in engineering, from computer science and civil engineering to things that you might not find as many other places, like geological engineering and mining engineering and petroleum engineering. Really cool fact about our program is it's direct entry, so you get to come in directly as a first-year student in engineering. You get to take your first engineering class and do your first design work in that year, get exposed to all those different areas of study. So you kind of get to do some of what you think is going to be the fun stuff right off the bat. You don't have to do 2 years of prerequisites first. You also don't have to, let's say you get into engineering and discover it's not the right fit. You can move over into something else more quickly. Another great feature of our engineering college is that it's housed in the brand new ELIF building, only a couple of years old, $130 million building, 120,000 square feet of really student-centered classrooms and laboratories. Just an example of how, even though you're going, all the way to the Arctic Circle and to a small school in a smaller community, you don't have to sacrifice in terms of resources or anything like that. The second thing I want to highlight is the natural sciences, and this would be everything from pre-med and pre-vet, but also geosciences, because a lot of people want to come to Alaska to study things like glaciers and volcanoes and so on. And then also, we have some spectacular opportunities related to, for instance, wildlife biology, natural resource management, ocean sciences, and fisheries. A big feature and benefit here is the simple fact that we're located in the middle of a 600,000 square mile learning laboratory, the state of Alaska. And 80% of Alaska's public land. There's lots of opportunities for internships and other kinds of work experiences. And we also just mentioned real briefly that funded research opportunities bullet point there. Lots of chances to get involved with research working alongside faculty and alongside grad students, partly because we're small. Undergraduates get lots of opportunities that way, but also you can actually write your own research grant proposal and get funded up to $2,500 to study whatever it is that interests you, or to take on a creative project that might interest you. This can be done with any major in the university, not just in the sciences. And then let me turn to a third area, and this is one of the ones that you wouldn't expect to find at a national research university. We have one of the best fire science programs in the country. This is an associate's degree program, a 2-year program. And what's incredible about it is we will help you get your Firefighter 1 certification if you don't have it, and then you can live and work in a local fire department while you're going to school. So you actually graduate with 2 years of work experience, plus you're either getting paid or getting a scholarship or a stipend for that work. And also your living costs are largely covered or even completely covered. So just another example of just some of the variety at UAF. Let's talk about money. So the cost for a student from Alaska to attend UAF is about $9,000 a year for tuition and fees. Non-resident tuition and fees is around $26,500. But we have, for those of you who are outside Alaska and are looking at non-resident, a couple of tools that might be helpful. First of all, of course, we do have scholarships. I'll try and talk about that a little bit more later on. But for students who live in the Western United States, we participate in the WUI program, the Western Undergraduate Exchange. And we offer WUI to every student from the Western United States. So that basically functions like about a $14,000 a year scholarship and drops the cost for tuition and fees down to around $13,000. Very similar to what you'll find at many in-state universities. Another cool thing we do is if you're from a military family And that might mean that you're personally in the military or that you have a mother or father who is or was active duty. You can qualify for in-state tuition, which brings the cost for tuition and fees down to around $9,000 a year. For a student who's using the WUI program, right now the cost for tuition, fees, room and board is roughly around $23,000 a year. And for an Alaska resident, it's around $19,500 a year. And again, we do have financial aid that can help to take the edge off a little bit further. With regard to admission at UAF, I like to joke that we have the most streamlined and stress-free admission process you're going to find. You can apply online on our website. You can upload your own academic transcripts or have your school send official transcripts to us. You can self-report your SAT or ACT results, and so you don't have to pay to have scores sent to us. Later on, before you enroll, we'll ask for official results, of course, and you don't have to write an essay. We work on a rolling admission process, so once we have all your admission materials in hand, you'll usually get an acceptance decision from us within 3 weeks. So we don't drag things out either. So that's what I mean by stress-free. I think we are just a great option for a wide variety of students. For the student who's a really high achiever and probably could go anywhere they wanted, but maybe might want an experience that is in a little bit more intimate environment. We're a great choice for you. We're a wonderful option for the late bloomer. You know who you are, the student who messed up 9th grade, and now you've been digging yourself out of a hole ever since. This is the kind of university that's not going to redline you over your GPA. And one of the great secret weapons we have is that community and technical college that we have. So even if you do have a low GPA, we can bring you in, let you get started with an associate's degree program, and then transition right into a bachelor's degree if you'd like. Also a wonderful choice for students who just want to do something really different, go on an adventure. This is different in Fairbanks, that's for sure. And also, I think having spent a year or 2 or 3 or 4 in Fairbanks, you're going to stand out when you go to apply for jobs the first time after you graduate or to go to grad school. We'd love to have you come and visit UAF. We don't have funding to bring you to campus, but you can come and visit almost any time all year long, or we do have some campus visit events set up for you. If you're not able to visit, lots of virtual resources on campus. And looking at the bullet here that says, in lieu of virtual resources we offer, there's a blank, okay? We don't have things set up, but if you find that your bandwidth isn't adequate to access, for instance, our virtual tours or whatever, you get in touch with us and we'll put together resources for you and help meet you where you are. We have some great on-campus support for you too. Let me highlight in particular our rural student services. A huge percentage of our students come from small rural areas, small communities, particularly from all over Alaska, where sometimes you can't even get to the town by car. You have to take an airplane or a snow machine or a boat. And so we have a well-developed rural student services program with a strong emphasis on especially serving Indigenous students, where we help students transition into and continue through successfully with college. I mentioned that our application process is real smooth. The SAT and ACT are not required for our 2-year or certificate programs. We do have application fee waivers available based on need. For instance, if you qualify for a Pell Grant, we will waive your application fee. Just get in touch with us if that's a concern for you. Lots of scholarships, including our NACAC pledge, which is our academic scholarship, and can be anywhere from $1,000 to $10,000 a year, and the WUI program. And then let me kind of wrap up by saying that we actually don't require a tuition deposit. So once you've been accepted for admission at UAF and you decide this is where I'm going to go, we can arrange for you to talk with an academic advisor. You can get registered for classes. You don't have to put another $100 or $200 or $500 down in order to do that. We would love to help you any way we can. I've given you here the contact information for my boss. Anna is well versed, especially in working with students from rural areas, but any of us at UAF are glad to answer questions and help you along. We love working with students. Thank you very much for your attention.